the algorithm will really love you if you are consistent. My strategy was just, okay, I'm enjoying this content, and I can also put out the content that I would enjoy, seeing. So why not do it? And I just gave myself a very simple rule, just everyday posting, no matter what, at least one tweet a day.
Again, thank you for coming on. I would like to give you a platform to like tell your story a little bit, the brief story, because you are pretty young. But Christina, thank you for coming on, and tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thank you so much. Basically, I'm just a freelance web designer and developer with Webflow. I've been freelancing for a few years now. Basically, I've started when I was quite young as a teenager, but of course, I went into it full time quite recently, about a year ago. And my whole journey has been a bit up and down. I can't say that I haven't got that I have got some consistent work, except for when I actually started Twitter. And after I started Twitter, I started getting pretty consistent work and starting getting a grasp on freelancing as a whole. And yeah, I work with some agencies as well, like Nexus Creative, for example, and with some amazing people from Twitter as well. And yeah, I just realized after times that freelancing is really what I love to do. I love to help clients. I love the freedom of it, the flexibility of it. And yeah, that's really about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a short story so far. There's a lot to be told. Um, but what I really like admired about you to start with when I heard you on Jack's show and was like how you kind of approached everything with a business mindset. Like you wanted freelance to be something that could fulfill the business boxes. I mean, I mentioned, your parents were entrepreneurs and you wanted the freedom and stuff that offered. You went to business school. Um, and that's where I think we should talk about business school because that's something that in the States here, there's kind of like a growing consensus of like school sucks, like you need to go freelance. And there's a lot of like it gets dragged through the mud a little bit. Because you see like especially with social media and stuff, you see people doing it online, making their own things happen. Like I think you're an example of that, where it's possible to go without it. And so yeah, what was your experience like in university, and how do you think that would you recommend it, and was it positive or negative or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely recommend it if you have the actual financial freedom and financial ability to do it. Then, of course, I mean, do I think that sometimes, when it comes to certain maybe universities or certain programs, it's not always probably worth the money. Mine, I think, was because it was a really good experience actually. But I've heard from some friends and just talking with people. Not everybody has the same kind of ability, financial ability to go to a good school and end up choosing something they weren't really interested in. And of course, that's not great. But yeah, I think overall university is great. It's just when you can actually afford it, because if you can't afford it and you're working part-time or full-time on the side, then of course you can't take university to its fullest, and you can't take your work to its fullest, then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of like you have a foot in both camps. And I know you said you worked for 20 to 30 hours each week when um, in your university. I mean, that was a different sort of gig, but it is too. Like, there's even like in my friend group, there's guys that are just like crippled with debt afterwards, and it's a bad situation because they almost can't make enough to pay it off with the degree that they went into debt for. So it's just kind of like a vicious cycle that doesn't really help anybody. So, and it's some of it's just a lot of it is dependent on the scenario. Like I was very blessed to have parents that would support me through it, and so that's a big reason of why I went for marketing. Um, and strength and conditioning. So I had a double major, two things I don't really spend a ton of time doing now. But I think for me, it was worth it for like the connections and just like the social aspect of it too. Because even like, I never really thought about this, but like even two of my like first freelance clients are just from there, and a lot of my connections on LinkedIn as well. So I think it is very case dependent. But you went to a very kind of like prestigious business school. Um, Schulich.
Surely,
How
yeah,
do you
yeah.
Schulich. Okay, I wasn't even gonna try, but
Like a German name, yeah.
yeah. Did you guys do any like presentations or case studies or and in the States they have this thing called like capstone projects for business school where you do like a big long research project and then you present and it's like a case study to get into a career. But any cool experiences like that?
Yeah, a lot actually. I think it just started from actually the first lecture. We stood up and had to do like a 5 minute presentation about ourselves and things like that, like small things and some larger presentations, slide decks, doing a lot of group projects. It's a really good dynamic education actually. It really helped me kind of go out of my comfort zone, and because constantly, like each lecture, you have to participate, you have to do the presentations, you research different markets and companies. And on some courses, you of course pick your own courses, which is always amazing. And on some courses, you have to pretend as if you're having an actual business. You create a whole business plan, present it to. We sometimes would have actual investors come in. So just a very very cool experience. And I think long term, it's the best thing you can do. Just go somewhere to a university and learn something, get out of your comfort zone, because we're kind of quite early in our careers, but I think that later on it will really become helpful. Like even right now, talking to clients and even posting on social media, just university. If you're in a good program, good university, it gives you the confidence to go out there and seize all of these different opportunities that you wouldn't have. You wouldn't have if you weren't participating in all of these programs, all of these courses, and weren't talking to so many cool people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, there is a bit of a reputation behind school, especially people, and it's very relevant to me just in my circle and my age because I do have friends like that. So I'll show them this podcast and hear some positive attribution for university. So something else I want to talk to you about, Twitter. I want to spend a lot of time talking about Twitter because I'm a big believer that when you want to learn something, you talk to the experts. And I would consider you, someone who has, I mean, you started, I was shocked when you just started like just over a year ago, posting every day. And kudos to you, by the way. You have very good Twitter content. I just started on Twitter like last week. And that's kind of like, I'm used to LinkedIn. So there's like a big friction for me. Like, okay, Twitter, it's very, it's not, I don't like it so far, but I want to like it because I'm going to create the habit. So like for me, the biggest pain in the ass for me is like, I don't know how to find anyone. So like if I search someone's name, it's like that it's not the same as their handle. So it's like, I don't know how to like get in touch with people. Posting's not a big deal. It's really like you kind of said, it's really low friction and I don't have problems coming up with content, but it's just like do you have, I would be interested to know kind of like your routine as far as like, do you have a certain number of comments you leave per day or how many connects you make per day, or do you send any direct messages or DMs, I guess they're called on Twitter, but I would love to hear give you a platform to talk about Twitter because I would really value that opinion.
Sure, of course. Yeah, I think many people just overcomplicate it. And I've been saying I've been on Twitter for many years now, maybe 5, 6 years, just consuming content constantly. And I've been seeing every day almost some tweets from people who have found success or haven't found success, that this is the formula for success. You need to leave 100 comments every day, 10 replies, 5 DMs, follow these many people, leave this many likes. But I think that you have to enjoy it. Like it has to come from a place of actual, enjoyment. Because if you're not enjoying even consuming the content, how can you be posting or engaging with people? And
Right.
for me personally, of course, every experience is different, and there are some accounts that grew much faster than me that I'm sure have some actual strategy behind it. My strategy was just, okay, I'm enjoying this content, and I can also put out the content that I would enjoy, seeing. So why not do it? And I just gave myself a very simple rule: just every day posting, no matter what, at least one tweet a day, which isn't super a lot. It's very easy, some days it can take a minute of your time to tweet. And some days I don't even go there, I don't even engage because, for example, I'm tired of it, or I want to rest. But yeah, just realize that, setting a simple rule like that, first of all, the algorithm will really love you if you are consistent. That's at least what I found. I find that even when engagement drops, if you're consistent, then it picks up back again. And yeah, just what worked for me was not taking it too serious, because it's not LinkedIn, it's not as professional, it's more casual. So just taking it more casually, more stress-free kind of, and yeah, actually enjoying it, engaging when you want to, not because okay, the algorithm will see this and will push my content. Yeah, just doing it for pure enjoyment, and setting some pretty minimum goals for yourself, just because um, for example, when you're not having so much freelance work or agency work, okay, it might not be a problem for you to take up, an hour each day and do it a very good tweet. But other days you're swamped with work, and you have to have a very kind of minimal threshold to make sure that you're still achieving your kind of daily goal. So I feel like just making it as simple as possible is always the best, and removing all sorts of stress from yourself, because you don't need any more stress kind of, on top of your work, on
Yeah.
top of your projects. It has to like actually come from a place of enjoyment, or at least partial enjoyment.
Yeah. No, that's really good to hear. You're like really well spoken, especially for your age. But yeah, I agree. And I was kind of like that getting on LinkedIn because my just like pretty much everybody, my prompt for getting on LinkedIn was like, I need work. So there's this big draw to be like, okay, advertise, go in the DMs, say like, or the connect messages, send your connects for the day. Um, and it's a lot. People have their guards up for that. So it's almost like creating a way that how can you become the person in people's minds that isn't like that? Because I am so averse to that, and that's like the biggest thing that I don't want to do. So I think Twitter is going to be a good. I think I could view Twitter as like a test ground. So like I could have like a lower threshold to what I need to do, especially when the goal is to post every day and not to have like high, because right now when I schedule out like LinkedIn posts, I schedule out for the week. I do it all in one day, and that's
Mhm.
like that ends up being like half my Saturday usually. Um, but then again, it's like the ROI. So I can see like for you as you start to get clients, responses, a couple posts, maybe get good traction. It's a lot easier to put more time into it because the ROI is higher after you start getting clients from it, which was kind of the same with me for LinkedIn. So I think, yeah, just kind of having the getting over yourself a little bit and not making excuses, which is what I'm doing. I know, but it is, yeah. I do like Twitter as a platform, but I think your growth and just because I see it too in your content too. You said you have like some lower quality, not lower quality, but like lower production time stuff, and you have like the threads. Like the other day, you had one on like the custom element in Webflow was like a whole thread of like 10 posts. And that was like really, I was like, wow, that would take me like 2 days to do. Um, so I can kind of see the difference in there. But do you have any thought as to like what goes into like variation? Because when I see yours, I see a lot of like, a lot of it's your work, a lot of it's portfolio, a lot of it's Navbar Gallery, some of it's updates, some of it's just like life stuff, and other of it is client work, and other of it is threads. So do you kind of like keep tabs on mixing it up, or do you have a strategy for that?
Yeah, I like to mix it up, just because I've seen from other people, for example, whose content I enjoy consuming, that they mix it up. They have a bit of lifestyle, just showing a bit of themselves, because I feel like that really helps. Like whether you're a client, or you're just a designer or a developer who is enjoying following, consuming another person's content. I feel like we all enjoy connecting with actual people, and not robots who are just producing content for the sake of producing content.
Right.
So yeah, I try to, if it's something fun and nice, I try to also insert some of my lives there, but not too much. And yeah, I like to kind of mix it up. So every week, I try to post at least once about Navbar Gallery, just because it's my primary kind of personal project that I really enjoy working on, and it has found a bit of traction. So which I'm really happy with, and of course, I want to keep keep that momentum up.
Mhm.
Then at least twice a week I post my designs, because I'm a designer first, and design is what I enjoy the most. Even though Webflow I really love, but design is definitely my number one priority. and my number one love, kind of, in terms of freelancing. And and then the rest, it's Webflow. It can be some freelancing tips. It can be just some even questions for the design community on Twitter, or some polls. So whatever comes to mind. I really like to use Typefully. It's very, very good. So whenever I have an idea, I just put it there. And then maybe once a week, if I don't have any idea of what to tweet, I'll just go through my Typefully, and I'll see, okay, I remember I remember writing down this idea, and let me actually go and create a tweet out of this. Yeah.
Typefully, I've never heard of that actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's quite good. Yeah. You can schedule posts there. You can do obviously threads, and since you're doing LinkedIn, it will also be very helpful for you, because you can convert all of your different tweets into LinkedIn posts. It does it really well, actually. And what I really love the most about it is that it has like an AI feature. So I'm writing a tweet, and I'm not liking, it's not condensed enough or not catchy enough. I just say it, make it punchier. It makes it punchier, makes it better, condenses it. So it's really good. And it also has analytics. Just, yeah, when I found the platform, I was really happy, because it really helps me to stay consistent. It has like a day streak, all of your analytics there. It's quite good. And they
Nice.
obviously have a free plan as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna check that out. I have that in my bookmarks tab now. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that out. But I think I like what you said, kind of about mixing it up, and because it is hard, but I think I think so much of it too is just like the daunting part of getting started. I think it's like that with anything, and and I see it in everyone online is the difference between the people that are getting the most work, that are building the most cool stuff, that are just successful by any metrics, are just the ones that are able to get over themselves and prioritize putting themselves out there in some way, shape, or form. And and that's why, like, I think it helps to build that habit, as we were talking about. But I want to talk to you about Navbar Gallery, because I think that's really cool. So is that like, I want to start like where you got the idea for it, and then how that translated into what it is now, because you've posted like progress of it on Twitter, and it's been really cool to kind of see that unfold a little bit. But yeah, tell me about the inspiration for it, and what it means, how it's evolved, and what it means to you now.
Sure, yeah. So I think the idea came to me after I saw some tweets about Footer Design, which is another website from actually good friends of mine now that I met through Twitter as well. It's basically a website that is all about footers. So you go on it, you find the best footers online. And yeah, I found myself spending a lot of time there, because I realized, okay, they're solving a very specific, very niche, but an actual problem of designers, because I think that all designers can relate to the point where you're happy with your design, and then the footer comes in, you're like, what do I do with it? So it has a lot of very cool footers. And then just popped into my head, why is it not for Navbars? And I started researching it, and I realized that there are no resources at all, like not even solid blog posts about the different Navbar types. And and then I realized that, come on, I'm having, each time I'm designing something, I'm having issues with Navbars. And the best websites, for example, Stripe, they have amazing Navbars that are very well thought through, from structure to the design, to how it looks on mobile. And so I just started just thinking of how it can look like the website with potential navbars. Just created a few sketches, posted them on Twitter. People liked it. I found that, okay, there's traction for this, and then I started working on it. So I first kind of made sure to prove the concept, because I wasn't sure whether or not it was going to be even a bit successful. And then after I saw that people were interested in something like this, I just started designing it, posting it on Twitter, developing it, posting it on Twitter, and just a lot of content later. I launched it, still produce content for it. I launched it in February. It's June now. Yeah, and I get a bit about 8 to 10,000 views every month on the website, which I'm very happy about it. And yeah, just continue growing it, improving it bit by bit, and we'll see where it evolves.
Yeah, and you know what I love about what you just said is that you didn't mention anything about monetizing it or making a product or a paid subscription or anything like that. But I know the entrepreneurial mind is in there. I know that's not like slipped on you, but it's not. I see that's not like the North Star. You know, like okay, this is I had to make money off this, um, and I think you're genuinely invested in building something cool and then having that grow into something that can be bigger down the line. Um, but yeah, I think that's awesome. Like I 100% agree. There wasn't. It has like a very clear place in the market, and I check it out several times, and it's um, yeah, I like it a lot because even like Navbars, like I think like even when I started Webflow about like 2 years ago or so, I Navbars just always just like either you use one from a template gallery or it's the same every time. It's just
Yeah.
logo top left,
Yeah.
drop down top right, and or call to action top right. It's like 1 to 5, 1 to 3 variations of the same thing. And usually I would just use either Untitled UI or Reloom and just
Yeah.
go on that. And it's like, okay, these are my options. But yeah, I think you've inspired people to kind of take out all the different inspiration because there are a lot more out there, and it's an important part of the site too. That's often like overlooked, but it's like you said, it's like the first pixel that people interact with, and I think that's really cool. So, are
Yeah.
you how much of your time is kind of allocated towards freelance? I guess would be a better kind of question. So, what does your like day in the life look like? Do you have like a routine, or like how big of a like a morning routine person are you? Are you like a 5 a.m. run, coffee, this time, 30 minutes on on the interval dot, or are you just kind of? I imagine you're probably a little bit more chill, but like a day in the life, like how much time do you prioritize doing freelance versus your own creative stuff? Versus I know you work on your portfolio a lot too, so how do you balance that in there? But what is your kind of normal day in the life? So I know it changes too, but what does that look like right now?
Yeah, sure. So it changes a bit. But I'm not definitely not the person who, wakes up at 5 a.m., goes on a run. I have it a bit more chill since, I'm in Spain. It's a bit more more chill here. Yeah, so I wake up at about 7:30, go to the gym on my good days. On my not so good days, I mean, on pretty much like every second day, I also study Spanish. I've been doing it for like half a year now.
Wow.
Then after that, I just get ready, and I go to a co-working space. It's about a 20-minute walk from where I live. And there I work for 4 hours for Nexus Creative, which is an agency also based in Barcelona.
Hmm.
Dylan Harris founds it. And then after that, I basically have my lunch, and then I work on my other freelancing projects. And if I have some free time, I work on Navbar Gallery or in my portfolio or on any other things that I'm interested in, even Twitter. I
Hmm.
try to take some time every Saturday uh, to do Navbar Gallery specifically, even if it's like half an hour. It doesn't take that long. And I usually, throughout my work week, I'll find some cool sites with great navigations. I'll just save them locally on my notes. And then come Saturday or Friday or any other day when I have free time, I'll just upload them to my Airtable, which then syncs it with the website. And yeah, it gets published. And whenever I'm feeling like I have an idea for my portfolio or I want some to do some updates, I'll just take the time, even if it's a weekend, because for me, working on personal projects, for me, it's my hobby. It's something that I love doing, so I enjoy doing. I rest while doing it, but I try not to do any client work on weekends at all. And so far this year at least, I've been very good on that promise. So I only work on, I mean, not work, but yeah, I only do personal projects and portfolio stuff on the weekend whenever I want to. Yeah.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah, I think that's I mean pretty. I mean I don't love the word balance because I think that looks different for everybody, but I think that's pretty um, balanced. So like, do you have like any like hard rules? Like you kind of mentioned like no client work on the weekend. Like, do you have like a big like, okay, laptop is closed at like 5 p.m. Like I've heard that before, or anything like that?
Yeah, I try to keep all my work outside of my flat
Mhm.
because When it gets mixed, I find that, I find myself quite easily working past 7, past 8, or opening up my laptop because I want to make a quick email, or because I have like an idea for something, or I want to do a tweet. But I try to do all of my work at the working space. I feel like separating kind of work and rest, life. It really helps because before I was going to working, it was more kind of mixed. So I found myself, even while resting, still being in that work mode. And I feel like if I'm working at home, it's very good for me, for example, to do my work in one location and maybe my resting in another. Kind of, so just not to mix it. I definitely love to work sometimes on my bed or on the couch, but if I do that for many days, then I find my balance not being that good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. Like I live by myself, and the lines get so blurred, dude. But I'm usually I'm usually out and about. I try to get out and about during the day. Like I have the desk set up here, so I'm like, okay, I have the monitor and everything, but it's creating those lines is hard when you're like a spectator of one, and we all are our own worst critics. So like we're all hearing the voice of like you shouldn't be doing this, you should be spending your time elsewhere. And I mean, I think you and I are both very lucky to be genuinely like enamored by what we do, to like want to come back to it in the evenings, because there's some people where it's like, man, I can barely get to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's like that for me sometimes too, depending on what the work is. But I think you've even at like a young age you set yourself up with those habits that's going to be really healthy in the future. And that's, I mean, if I'm being transparent, dude, that's something I need to get better at, is like creating those guidelines, sticking to them a little bit more, because the lines do get very bored, and when it starts to like impact your sleep, and then it's just like it's vicious like caffeine sleep.
Yeah.
Like, and the first thing that goes for me is like I'm always at like these networking events for like chambers of commerce and trying to grow the business and get clients. And like the first thing that goes for me is like my verbal agility. So like I'll start like I can't keep my attention span. I can't talk nearly as fluently, and it's just like such a downhill spiral. So I think you are a good role model for staying on the straight and narrow, and having good habits. So I appreciate you sharing that. But I saw through your LinkedIn bio, you did something with Toastmasters.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit? Because I'm in two Toastmasters chapters here in Dublin, Ohio, and
Nice.
it was interesting for me to see it. Like I didn't realize it was something that was like, I know it's called Toastmasters International, but I guess it didn't apply to me that it was like worldwide. So it was kind of cool to see it. But what was your experience like with that?
Yeah, sure. So during university, when COVID happened, I was in my first year, like finishing my first year, and suddenly, everything closes. I go back to Ukraine, which is my home country, and I realized quite quickly that I'm starting to lose my English proficiency just because I keep speaking not in English
Mm,
constantly, and only like listen to lectures, for a few hours a day and do some homework. But majority of my day is not spent, just in basically how I spent it in Canada when I was studying. So I looked at some student clubs, applied to Toastmasters because like a friend of mine was already there, told me that it was quite good, gets you out of your comfort zone. And that's exactly what it did.
mhm.
So I was just volunteering there. I had like a design role, like a really small design role. I was just helping with some social media stuff. And yeah, weekly we would meet and we would do speeches. We would go through the whole Toastmasters. I think it was called Pathways. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it wasn't
Mhm.
that long ago, but I think it was called Pathways. And yeah, we were just going through the program. Yeah, very very good experience. It was
Yeah.
during COVID, of course, so it will help me to not feel as isolated, because at
Mm,
times I would feel like I'm not even studying at the
yeah.
university. In Canada, I felt like, okay, I'm doing something on my computer, 6 hours, 7 hours a day, and then I'm living my life. And
Mhm.
so it was good. Yeah, it was a very good experience. I would definitely recommend to anybody, especially for people like me who maybe either English is not your first language or you're not fully comfortable speaking, which I feel like every person is not, I don't know, a person who is very comfortable speaking in public, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very good experience.
Yeah. I thought that was very interesting because like I don't know if your organization was like a more like younger group, but in this group I've never met anyone under the age of like 35. Like it's
Mm.
everyone's like, oh, the young buck here, and I'm like 22. So I mean, but it's yeah, I thought that was very interesting because it is like it's kind of a professional development thing over here, and they'll people talk about their businesses and it is a public speaking thing too. Like you have to prepare kind of like your speech. There's another. So I'm in another group Monday. It's called Amp Spirit, and it's like a super small niche group. But these are like older people. Like it's like established business owners, and it's very transactional networking. So
Mhm.
once you get accepted in, you give a pitch about your business, and it's supposed to last 22 minutes. And I'm
Oh,
sweating. I'm sweating
22
bullets a little
minutes.
bit.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can waffle on for 22 minutes about what I do. I was like, okay, build websites, this is what SEO is, But yeah, so that's I think it's a huge ROI thing. I mean, especially for young freelancers, even if you're not giving presentations and putting yourself under the fire like that, like even just talking to clients or talking to people in general, because and this is kind of cool because we're similar ages, but there are some people that are our age that um, I would just say like conversationally um, are not as sharp, and I think that has something to do probably with social media and distractions and attention spans and stuff like that. But I think the best way to mitigate that is to just get over it because it's something that I don't enjoy, but the ROI is definitely there too. But and that kind of dovetails on something else I want to talk about too, because we talk about like your schedule and how you separate laptop time from social time and you have the co-working space and stuff. But have you ever had like distractions? I know you have, but like how do you mitigate distractions? Because like I do social media on my laptop too, because like once I have stuff on the phone, I'm just like the dopamine I get from that is just like it's
Yeah.
bad. So how do you kind of like segment the social media? Do you do it on your laptop browser? Do you have like times a day or like maybe during lunch or anything like that where you manage those lovely distractions?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I feel like, I mean, I struggle with it. Everybody I know struggles with it, especially our age, and even, I mean, even people older right now, right? I see everybody is on Facebook or wherever, even YouTube or yeah. So I have a few rules that are not so hard. So I try not to be too hard on myself because I still want to enjoy social media, but Instagram, I just don't have it, so I deleted it. I have an account there, but I don't have it on my phone. I just sometimes kind of update it or download it and then reply to my friends, or if I want to use something, it's fine. But then I just try to delete it right away after I've used it because I find myself just really spending time there and not receiving anything
Yeah,
good. It's just
yeah,
all negative. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Instagram. Then Twitter, I really enjoy Twitter, but whenever also I find myself like scrolling for too long or going into topics that I don't really want to be into, so they're not really contributing to anything good.
mhm,
I also try to go on my desktop because on desktop I don't get sucked into it as much for some
yeah,
reason. I don't know, it's probably psychological. We really enjoy scrolling with our fingers.
yeah,
Yeah,
mhm,
but whenever you are on desktop, I don't know, 5 minutes is enough. Always, it's not as interesting. Yeah, but Twitter, of course, I also use it professionally. I love myself to use it even like late in the evenings or in the mornings. That doesn't matter. Just because whenever I go there, I usually always save or bookmark a good design or follow somebody who's very good, very creative. So it's more of a work thing. Maybe like what LinkedIn is for you. You can find some actually good and productive things there. Yeah, and that's about it. So I also use YouTube, obviously, but I also try not to use it as much on my phone because then the scrolling happens. So yeah, I just just have a few rules like that. It's not nothing crazy. And when I work, I find what also really helps. If I'm in a public setting, I don't find myself, like for example, at a co-working space or an office or even at a coffee shop. I usually don't find myself like going on my phone when I'm supposed to be working. But if I'm at home, then I do find myself doing that.
Mhm.
So what I
Yeah.
do is, if I'm staying at home, just take my phone and put it into another room. It's that simple. And 10 minutes pass and I just forget that it exists.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
able to actually focus on my work. And when I think of, okay, I want to go on my phone, it's like, oh, it's all all the way there in another room. I don't want to walk there. I'll just
Mhm.
keep working. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm very much the same way. And I mean, just they're especially Instagram's very like visually stimulating. And so I feel like I was like just getting to the point where I just waste like it's just like down the drain. Like it's just such a waste of time. And but it's like it's like a marketing asset too. So you kind of have to like um it's like dieting, right? Because like you have to eat, but you like if you eat too much, you're gonna get fat. So it's like you have to be exposed to it, but you can't take advantage of it. So it's like it's that tough thing. It's a tough balance to find, but especially when you use it for marketing and self promotion and so forth. But yeah, I always kind of value seeing how people kind of manage that trap. But it seems like you have it managed quite well, so I do appreciate that. But so what are some things that like have you excited? I know Navbar Gallery kind of going into the future. Um, how are you kind of fueling like that entrepreneurial side of you now? Is that kind of filled by Navbar Gallery? Is it like what's kind of like? And I get asked this a lot too. Is like what's your 5-year plan? Like, and I'm like I have no idea. So like take this with a grain of salt. But what is like? I don't know if you know who Ali Abdal is, but he's like I love Ali Abdal. He's this YouTuber, and he has this concept of like the perfect week or the perfect
Hmm.
day. So like I have a Notion calendar. I have two Notion calendars, and one of them is just like very fictional events. Like this is what my perfect schedule should look like, and how do I kind of take the actions in my career, in my life now to kind of orient towards making this a reality. So what is that? A very on the spot question, but what does that kind of like perfect day, perfect week look like for you? Would it be similar to what you're doing now, or like would it be a little bit more on the entrepreneurial side of things, or how would you kind of orient yourself to finding that perfect day?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I really like Ali Abdal as well. Very, very smart guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, it would probably change, from season to season. But currently, I think I'm pretty much in my perfect week or perfect day, just
Hmm.
because I find myself enjoying doing creative work a lot more actually than entrepreneurial work. And my perfect day consists of mostly creative work and then a bit of entrepreneurial work. And creative work, obviously, the designs, the Webflow, which is both quite creative, quite nice. I get lost in time when I'm doing it, so I'm really, really enjoying it.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, sometimes I will have a bad day, but mostly it's all good. Especially when you're working with clients who appreciate you, who you provide value to. It really helps with yeah, with just staying on that path of doing what you love. And entrepreneurial side of me, I think currently it's just being filled with like client meetings, and I
Hmm.
really enjoy talking to clients. I really enjoy solving their problems. I find that, I don't know, even if it's a discovery call or if it's like a QA call, at the end of creating a website, or if it's something in between, I just always enjoy it because during those calls I'm able to not only talk to them more and kind of like actually solve their problems, and I find myself really enjoying doing that and enjoying helping people with my skills or talents. And yeah, I find that for now at age 22, I feel like I'm happy at where I'm at. Later on, maybe in 5 years, 10 years, I'm not sure. I would obviously want to go deeper and further, but I still want to keep that creative work at least for a few hours every day,
Hmm.
because it's an incredible feeling when you're able to work and you work just creatively, like you work with your imagination, you work with your skills, your talent, but you're able to place all of those different thoughts or ideas into something visual. I just really enjoy that. Yeah, but probably later down the road, as this will be transformed into more of a business where I'm doing more of project management, entrepreneurship, things like that. Because of course, those things are more passive, and as you get older, you obviously don't want to work as much. You might not have as much energy, or you have other responsibilities like children. So you obviously want to have a bit more time for yourself, for responsibilities. So yeah, when I find myself doing that, I want to move more into some passive revenue streams. Yeah, but for now, I'm really happy with being very active, basically.
Yeah. No, that's a really mature answer. It is hard to, because we're all going through our days and we're like, okay, this is reality right now. And you almost can't imagine it being anything different. But then it slowly like starts to change, and it's hard to say like, okay, how do I take the action, especially if you're not happy with where you're at, which it sounds like you are. Um, but I wasn't always, and I'm still getting to the point where I'm like, okay, this is my ideal day, but it feels like you're, when it is not what you want it to be, it's so hard to, it feels like it's so far away to be that way. I mean, in actuality, it can change so fast. Like,
Yeah,
especially in
yeah,
what we do, like the difference between like two good clients and three good clients makes like it totally changes your life, totally changes your schedule. So
yeah,
it's and that's what the posting and the content and the networking events and the communication, all that stuff, that's what that does. Is it's, you don't see it after, you don't get the reward, the feedback after every single post, after every single event, but it's slowly you start to get those big wins after doing them for a very long time. One thing I wanted to talk to you about too, is your process behind like setting goals,
hmm
um, because I've seen you had your yearly goals, and then I'll see you post like your monthly goals too. Um, are you someone that has like a Notion database? Like, okay, each month these sync to another table that are my year goals. Is it that organized, or just kind of like, or how far in advance do you make like your monthly goals versus your yearly goals? And I'm going to read your yearly goals right now because I actually have them pinned in my Notion doc. So your yearly goals were, to grow to 34, or okay, here they are. To design for a VC private equity firm, to successfully launch Navbar Gallery, to eat clean and exercise 6 hours a week, to grow to 5K on Twitter, and to double income. Um, and I think like even now we're like 6 months into the year, you're almost to the Twitter goal. You've checked off 1 and 2, right? Um, so, I mean, I mean, you set like good goals, obviously, because you got to them. But what does that process look like of arriving at them and then setting like the road marks for the monthly ones too?
yeah. I really like your idea with Notion. I've used it in university when I've had a bit more different smaller responsibilities. You have different courses and so many assignments, and you have to be on top of things. Right now it's a bit simpler. I just need to be on top of a few larger things during the day, and then I'm all good. So for me it's the same exactly as with Twitter. I said, for example, okay, goals for my year, and then I see what's the simplest steps I can take every day. So not weekly or monthly, but every day to get there. With Twitter, it's the same, right? Just everyday posting. I calculated it quite early on, and I realized, okay, I just need 8 followers every day to reach my goal. Well, that doesn't sound crazy. That sounds pretty sustainable. And if I'm getting, for example, if I'm doing a tweet and I get, I don't know, even 3,000 views on it, I find myself hitting that benchmark every single day. Some days I'll get more, some days less, but overall, if I'm hitting that average or even going about, I'm all good. And so that was already quite easy. And of course, since it's easy, I'm not stressing about it. So I'm not thinking about it a lot, and I don't have it in Notion or anywhere else. I just, sometimes refer back to it, but not too much. I find myself mostly being in the day to day. For example, when it comes to exercising, eating clean, It's as simple as, okay, I'm going to the gym these days. If not, then I need to go at least once during the weekend, or play tennis during the weekend or something like that. So I'm giving myself alternative paths, kind of, because not every week. Some weeks you'll be traveling, some weeks you'll be more swamped, some weeks you're just not feeling great or you're sick. So I try not to kind of be too hard with myself, because I'm a human. It's okay. I'm not a professional athlete. I'll never be. So that's all right.
Yeah.
And I don't need to look like a professional athlete, so it's okay. I just do it for mental health. And yeah, so eating clean also, just it's very simple. Just not keeping bad foods at home, and I will have bad foods every week, but again, not being too harsh. Uh, just trying to improve every day and seeing where I might have some problems, for example, with sugars or caffeine or something else. Yeah, and just being honest with myself about it. Um, then I don't know, with other goals, it's just exactly the same. So when it comes to doubling income, I'm not even honestly checking that metric that much. I have it in Notion, all my income, and I'm seeing that it's growing. So so far I'm able to double that income from last year, which I'm really happy about. If it doesn't happen by the end of the year, I'm also fine with it, because I mean, I'm just happy with the work I'm doing, and that's more important to me than the financial side. So when I didn't have finance at all, which was even a year and a half ago, it was a big deal, and I was scrambling to find clients, and it was really really difficult, because I was seeing that, okay, I can provide value, but it's not translating to the finances I'm receiving. But as soon as I started tweeting, as soon as I started putting myself out there, I started getting more consistent client work, and clients who are able and are willing to pay more. And that problem has stopped, fortunately, because I was really, for a while, for 3 years, I was really struggling with finding freelance work, and was finding freelance work that is paid well, because if you're at the very start of your freelancing career, you're finding yourself always, of course, competing with price, right? So you're always setting the lowest price possible, and it's very hard to get out of there. And to get
Yeah.
out of there, you obviously need to build something. You need to either build a personal brand, you need to build some sort of presence, because you need to have that credibility that you should be paid more. And yeah, so it was something I struggled with for a while, but fortunately this year it's no longer a problem, thanks to Twitter. Yeah, and which I'm really really happy with. And yeah, so each goal I just try to do things every day, basically, to help me achieve that goal. Yeah, and sometimes also I'll set monthly goals when I feel I need a bit of a push. For example, with Navbar Gallery, I realized quite early that if I won't tweet that, okay, I'm launching it this month, then I'll probably not launch it this month. So things
Yeah.
like that, I feel like Twitter really helps me to keep myself accountable, because if I'm tweeting something, people are seeing it. I'll just feel embarrassed if I don't kind of come through with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's a great use for the accountability piece too. And I've done that with LinkedIn, and it's because we almost have to like treat ourselves. I mean, we are kind of, but like you have to treat yourself like a kid sometimes. Like, okay, you don't have the discipline to do this on your own, so you're gonna set the conditions to force yourself in this uncomfortable situation. You're gonna have to do it. But there's this YouTuber. His name's Thomas Frank, and he's
Hmm.
big into, yeah, he has like Notion tutorials and stuff. But he's like this huge nerd, and he's big into setting up like automations and code and everything. So he wanted to start getting up at 6 a.m. and going to the
Hmm.
gym. So he set an automation. I don't know how he did it, probably some Zapier duct tape or something. But he said, okay, like he set the automation for a tweet to go out at 6 a.m. every day. He goes, if you're seeing this tweet, it's because I'm lazy and I'm sleeping in. This is my bank account and routing information. And that would get published so you can go and turn it off. So stuff like that, I was like, okay, I heard that, and I was like, that's pretty cool, but I don't want to do that. So like, what's the step back from that? So I think posting about like projects, like one of the things I posted about was getting an intern.
Hmm.
And you have to go through like this whole application process. It's just such a pain in the ass, and it took a really long time. I was like, I really want a teammate here. Like, this is gonna be cool. And we're starting that Monday. So that was
That's
one of the
awesome.
problems. That would have been really embarrassing. Where everyone was like, "Oh, where's your teammate? He's not here. What happened to him?" So I was like, "Okay, I really want this to happen." So just stuff like that too, and especially when it's something that you're building by yourself, like you mentioned too, it can get really lonely. Having this, it creates that sense of like the audience behind you is like rallying behind
Mhm.
you, like, "Oh, okay, you know about it." And even if people check up on it, they're generally not doing, unless it's like the total wrong person. They're not doing it to, try and spite you. They're generally like invested in the stuff you're building.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of stuff too that there's so much that you don't share. And I'm getting ideas like even now in my workflow, but I don't want to take your whole day, so I have one more topic and I have like a little game for the end for us. But the one thing I want to talk about is like your support system. What does your family kind of look like? You can get like as transparent as you want, but what is your like, who are your role models, your inspiration, your support, and do you have like people at home that can kind of help you, detach from maybe a bad day or anything like that? But I'd love to hear what that looks like for you.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, it's quite surprising. I'm still very young, but I'm actually married. I've been married for
Oh my
a bit
gosh.
over a year now. Yeah, yeah. I don't talk about
Congratulations.
it online because I don't know. I just like to keep my like private life private, but it's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like my husband helps me a lot, for example, and I mean I help him. So if I'm having a bad day, it's like it's your support system. It's like your best friend, basically. I mean, it's more than a best friend. Obviously, it's a husband and wife. Yeah, but I also have friends who, I mean, they're all in very different countries right now and doing very different things, but we're still supporting each other. And I find that it's really important because, yeah, I don't know, you live through your life, you live through your day to day, and it's just amazing to kind of share your struggles and your wins with somebody. And I have amazing parents as well, which I'm very blessed with. I have a brother and a sister as well, so a large support system, and they're kind of my number one fans. Yeah,
Mhm.
because they're always checking what I do, checking my Twitter. I see them every day, like liking it, and yeah, just telling me every day, okay, I watch this, I watch this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's really great to have that, and I'm very very blessed to have this. Yeah, it's like definitely just a huge blessing.
That's awesome. Yeah. I have an aunt who comments on every one of my Instagram posts, and I'm not on Instagram very often, but she is there every time. And if Aunt Shell, if
Nice.
you're listening to this, I love you. But yeah, that means a lot too. And it's like, and it's almost like if I were younger, I would have been like, "Oh God, it's so embarrassing." But then now I'm just like, it's like the one thing I'm looking forward to every time I post is like she's always there. But yeah, I think that's a good thing to have too. But yeah, so thank you for sharing that. The last thing I want to do is this game called No Context. I've heard this on a podcast before. I've never actually done it on one of mine, but it's basically a two options, and you just answer to one of them, and you don't give any context as to why you chose that answer. So I have
Sure.
like
Yeah.
15 of these that I thought would be good topics for you, and yeah, just share your answers and no context. So
Sure.
the first one, Navbar or footer?
Navbar.
I'm starting you off with like softball pitches here, so you can just like crank them out of the park. Um, they get more difficult, I promise. Twitter or LinkedIn?
Twitter.
Sunrises or sunsets?
Sunrises.
Okay. A day in Webflow or a day in Figma?
Mm,
Mm. Told you they get harder. Yeah.
Figma. Okay, Figma. Yeah.
Okay. Fair. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Okay. We have to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you
Sure. Sure.
market yourself? Okay. So this is one thing I'm totally like, I have more questions. So we're getting back to this. This was not how it was supposed to go. But like one thing I had down to also ask you was like, when you, even like in your career, when you weren't getting like work consistently, you still stayed doing like the one thing. So like, how do you kind of, um, is it more so like in content and posting where you market yourself as like, okay, this is what I do? And do you also kind of align yourself more with the design or development, or do you kind of like do both? I know, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard about Corey Moen. He was
Hmm.
on. I was at his stream. He was in Grace Walker's course that we were in, and he talked about, he's like, yeah, Webflow tech lead. I'm where design meets development, and it's like he's really big on like finding, being very clear on what you do. So like, what does that look like for you?
So to me, I enjoy doing both. I just enjoy, solving the problem more so. So
Mhm.
on a day where I want it to be easier, I
Mhm.
would prefer Webflow, because Webflow to me, I love doing it. It's very straightforward, very kind of linear process, which I mean most days I would definitely enjoy. But Figma to me just represents this kind of blank canvas, like blank frame, and I'm able
Mhm.
to create whatever comes to mind. And in my opinion, definitely doing design is harder than doing development, just
Mhm.
because design is basically thinking turned visual. So you have to think a lot. You're constantly involved with it,
Mhm.
especially if you want to do it fast. If you don't have the whole day to do, like, I don't know, a hero section or a logo or something, you have to constantly think. And I think that I really enjoy doing that, just starting with like a blank frame, and then having like an end result maybe in an hour or two or three, or however much it takes. But yeah, on easy days, I really enjoy Webflow. I just really enjoy providing a solution to clients. So when we have a discovery call, for example, I explain to them, well, I'm primarily a designer, but I've been doing Webflow for 3 years now. And before that, I mean, 3 years very actively. I discovered it earlier, but I explain to them what I can do for them, and I'm just very happy when I can deliver a very high quality result. When it's a website that not only like looks good, or that has like high performance, but it also has a very clear, good structure, whether it's client first, mast, or some custom class naming system. I just
Mhm.
really enjoy giving them like an end result that I'm proud about, and that I think that will help them achieve goals.
Mhm.
Yeah, so and I really enjoy doing design and then developing it, because as a designer, I'm seeing all of these little things, seeing how it will look like on hover, animated, how it will look like on mobile, and I really want to turn that vision into reality. Yeah, so
Mhm.
that's why I really, really enjoy both doing
Mhm.
it and also marketing myself as a person who is able to do both, kind of.
Yeah, nice. And you also do branding too, right? Because I've seen that. Your
Yeah, I mean,
website is freaking awesome, by the way. I forgot to say
thank
that,
you.
but you kind of advertise everything on your website, but you also do branding, right?
Yeah, I can do branding. I think I'm better honestly at web design. Like in
Mhm.
terms of, I feel like there are just so many amazing people who do specifically branding. But if
Yeah.
if a client has a very specific vision, and if I'm doing it from scratch, then I think that I can do pretty good branding. But I feel like there are just so many talented, amazing, skillful people who just do branding, and I would definitely go to them. If you want like an actual, like, very scalable, beautiful brand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Okay, back to the game. Um, okay, so the last one was Figma or Webflow. Accounting or marketing.
Marketing.
Okay. Okay. Books or podcasts.
Books.
Okay, interesting. Except for this one. Um,
Yeah.
fiction or nonfiction.
Fiction.
Oh man. Okay. Man, we really can't be friends. Okay. Um, Notion or ClickUp.
Notion. Yeah.
Okay. Purple or blue.
Purple. I
Yeah,
mean, that's
I
my
figured.
brand. Yeah, I have to go with it.
Yeah. Where did you come up with the name Supercharged? Was that
I
just
was
like
just,
yeah?
yeah, I was sitting at a lecture. It was a very boring class, and yeah, I was just doing some stuff in Webflow. I don't even remember what. And I saw like an icon, like a lightning icon, like, oh, Supercharged, that's cool. Like it could be named Supercharged. Then I went to Apple's website, like it was just within the span of 5 minutes. I went to Apple's website to search for something, and I see that they have like Supercharged, la 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 la, something.
Mhm.
And I just instantly went on like GoDaddy or no, Namecheap, something like
Yeah,
that.
good name.
Looked
Yeah.
up whether or not it's available. It was available, quite cheap. Just bought it right there and then
Hmm.
started, yeah, started to do the branding and the website design.
Nice. Yeah. That's I mean that's a good story as any. Like mine, Yeah, a lot of like people get into themselves into such a rabbit hole with like what they name themselves, and then yeah, like I have an experience with that. Anyway, so purple or blue, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, good. It's better. Zoom or Google Meet?
Google Meet.
Yes. Okay. Um, Zoom is like it caps at 30 minutes. That's my biggest pain in the ass with it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
5 minutes remaining. I'm like, we just started. Um, Bento or skeuomorphism?
Skeuomorphism. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. Okay. Tennis or boxing?
Tennis.
Okay. Those are the only two I've seen you post about. Do you play any other sports?
Yeah, I mean a bit. I really enjoy basketball. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I watch football sometimes. Like, I mean, soccer. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, but I think tennis is the sport I enjoy the most. Like actually playing. Boxing is
Uh-huh.
just we have some amazing boxers in Ukraine, so just
Uh-huh.
support them.
Yeah, cool. Um, I didn't know if you actually boxed, like,
No, no,
but
no, no boxing. No, no, no.
yeah, no, like I watch here in the States, MMA is like huge, like it's big, like UFC. Um, People get really crazy over that, and I do like UFC. Like UFC is badass. But then people ask me, like, I went to a huge wrestling school too, which is like, um, wrestling is like takedown,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like 2 points, yeah. Um, and I went to like one of the best schools in the country for wrestling. So every
Wow.
time I say my wrestling school, everyone's like, "Did you wrestle?" And I'm like, "No." Like, look at me. Like, I can't know. Um, but yeah, I have to make the association sometimes. But to answer wrestling, okay. Followers or engagements?
Engagements. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't see none of your goals are about engagements, so I just had to ask. But light mode or dark mode?
Oh. Light mode. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm seeing kind of like a trend where you can kind of, it used to be like dark mode is like, okay, that's modern. And then I'm seeing a lot more trends of like light mode, kind of, whether it's you use the glass morphism type of thing to make it appear kind of cleaner and more modern.
Mhm.
And also it's usually like a bit of an off white too. So,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah. Early mornings or late nights?
Mornings, definitely. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that was the last one. Um, but yeah, I kind of like that game because you can learn so much in just a few questions. Um, but yeah, that's all I had. Anything? Where can people go? Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for coming on. I know I took probably more of your time than you're expecting. It's getting late for you, but thank you so much for coming on. This has been the highlight of my day, as it always is. Getting to talk to people is not something that we get to do all day, so I do appreciate it. But where can people go find you? Want to learn more about you? Obviously, Twitter, any URLs or anything like that, they can go find you.
Yeah, you can go to Twitter. I'm at Supercharged, but it has two U's because the account I want is taken, of course. Yeah. You can also go on Navbar Gallery. Yeah, if you I mean if you're a designer, you enjoy perfecting every pixel of your design, just go to Navbar Gallery. I hope that it will be very helpful to you. I update it weekly. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, watch this podcast again if you want.